to the High Vibe Show, living the high vibe life with me, your host, Elisa V, and together with my guests, experts in the art of living in a state of high vibration, we have got an amazing show for you today. My passion is to educate and inspire you to raise your frequency to a high vibrational state. Whether you're an awakened soul to the power of your own consciousness as a light being, or you're new to this spiritual path of expansion and growth, which is made possible through vibrating at a high level, you are in the right place. So stay here to experience fun, frequency upgrades now, so you can manifest all you want and help to raise the collective vibration of our wonderful world. Let's hit the restart button and high vibe it together. The High Vibe Show starts now. Hello. Welcome to the High Vibe Show. I'm your host, the Queen of High Vibe, Elisa V, and you're in the right place if you're looking for ways to live a more fulfilling life and raise your personal frequency. So today, I'm so glad to have you guys here. First of all, I'm so thrilled that this is like the 10th day of sunshine. So that always gets me really in a high vibrational state. But today, we're going to bring you the 6th episode in a series that myself and Dr. Pat have teamed up on called The Secrets of High Vibe Wellness. And this is where we bring you some of the best kept secrets for embracing an empowered mindset and effective techniques to be a creator of well-being in all dimensions of your life. Today, our episode called Creating High Vibe Surroundings, we are joined by Tonia Johnson, personal and planetary healer and podcast host of her own show, The Alchemy of Me, Anatomy of Humanity through the lens of science and spirituality, right here on Transformation Talk Radio Network. And we are going to be focusing on another spoke of the wellness wheel, that of our environmental wellness. We will be discussing the role of our surroundings when it comes to our overall well-being, as well as creating spaces that are conducive to positive emotions and living in a state of high vibrational energy. Welcome, Dr. Pat. Tonia.
Yeah. Okay. I got to share an environmental story, Tonia, and you got to jump in on this. Okay. You both of y'all. Last night, the New York Liberty women's basketball team won the national championship. Why am I bringing it up? 4 years ago, Tsai and Clara Woodsai bought the team 4 years ago. And when this woman, the owner, talked about what she did, she moved them. She said the team had been put in exile in Westchester. I know Westchester, nothing bad about you guys, but clearly moved them to Brooklyn. And here's what she said she did. Are you ready? She changed their environment. She created a facility that was state of the art. She talked about giving them proper things for their diet. I mean, she could have talked about a million other things, right? But she talked about what she did. So if we don't understand and by the way, this New York Liberty team was the first team 2 and a half decades to join the women's basketball, right, the WNBA, had never won a championship. But I just need to say this, because when she talked about what was important to her, the fans, of course, she talked about changing the environment, making it more healthy for them, giving them I just needed to bring that up because I thought, oh, this is this is the wheelhouse of today, right?
Yeah. And, if I could take 2 seconds, well, probably a little more than that, just to tell everybody about Tonia's background, because, for anybody who hasn't seen her show, you can now tune in, and I'm going to let you tell everyone when that is. But just a little bit about Tonia's background. She has a professional background as a scientist and leader in the corporate space, with her love and daily practice of experiencing life through ancient shamanic traditions and wisdom. And Tonia introduces a fresh and heart-led approach to life and leadership. Her diverse background, passion, purpose, and inner fire led her to co-create and serve as the CEO of Euphora. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
It's Wild Minnow. Wild
Wow.
Minnow.
Okay. An
Yeah.
organization committed to supporting businesses to become thriving communities by nurturing, nourishing, and tending to their most valuable asset, which is humanity. So, hey, let's just
Thank
get
you.
right into this because, I had such an amazing conversation with you yesterday, Tony. It was the first time we met. And I mean, when I looked after we were hanging up, we were on well over an hour. I think we were
Mhm.
on for another like 2 hours. But
Yeah.
I would love for everybody to, from your mouth to talk about, some of your passions. And of course, I know Mother Earth is a big part of that. So
Mhm.
please enlighten my listeners.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to both of you for creating this space and this container and this environment for us to come together and to really daylight the importance of this topic. And for me, I mean, it all comes back to our relationship with nature, our relationship with Mother Nature, because it's also our relationship with ourself. And that is, for me, that has kind of been the catalyst for me my entire life since I was a child. How we connect with Mother Nature, how she speaks to us and through us. And then it kind of led to my role as a geologist, professional geologist, working on more of the science, looking, behind the curtain, the analytics, and then deciding to come more back into more of the spiritual realm, and seeing that the power really is in creating this space, creating this container and this environment where it is through our own connection with the environment that we're in that we are able to heal ourselves and to really show up in life. I mean, just as simply put as that. So thank you for having me here today.
Oh yeah, and I think when people think environment, and I'm not trying to minimize this at all, but
Mhm.
people just think about not polluting and recycling, and while that's important, right? Because we're caring for our earth and our home.
Mhm.
There's so much more to the connection, like you said, between us as humans and how do we connect to the earth. And one of the things I loved that we were talking about was just how, people refer to the earth as she and mother,
Mhm.
and that this is truly. Can you talk a little bit more to the fact about how the earth is really alive? Like we know the trees and the plants, but
Yeah.
just as our home, how is it alive?
Yeah, and this can be a little triggering for some if you're so disconnected. Not to call anybody out, but that was me. Like there was a time where I was very disconnected, and we have been brought up in a society to disconnect us, to make us feel separate. And when we come back to center, when we come back to her, and I think of like being able to lay down on the ground and I can literally feel the heartbeat of
Yeah.
our mother. And that's called, like, I mean, there's different ways. It's pulsing, like you feeling the pulse of nature. You're connecting with the oneness of everything that is. And that is, yes, recycling matters, how we treat it matters, but that's downstream, right? That's after things have been created. Come back home to ourselves, coming back home to our environment, remembering that we have that connection with her. Um, as you know, I currently live in Peru, and I was guided here, and the word they use here to describe Mother Earth is Pachamama, and it's an old Quechuan language of the Incas, or it still lives here, and their respect and reverence for Mother Earth is very much still at the heart of everything that they do here. And it comes back home to ourselves and to our communities and to our families and all the things that matter.
Yeah, one of the things I think people don't realize is that one of the very physical ways we've been disconnected is like wearing shoes, right? Because when you are barefoot and you walk in the grass and you walk on the ground, like there is an electromagnetic pulse that we take in and is very healing to us. And you look at animals, they don't wear shoes, and they are so connected. We can't always speak like, have a conversation in English or in our native language with them, but they are just so much more connected to whatever is going on. Like if you watch your animals, if a storm is coming, we don't even know it's coming yet, but they can sense it, they can feel it. And so, people I think get a bad rap like tree huggers, but there's so much wellness and health that we gain from touching and holding trees and walking on the grass. And everybody's ultra I guess hygienic about, oh, you can't walk barefoot and you'll get germs and you'll get this. But I've started telling my kids, of course, they think I'm a little crazy, but when they don't feel good, I'm like, go outside, just go outside and walk on the grass barefoot. And now they don't laugh as much because they understand it, but we don't learn that. We don't learn that in school. We don't learn that on television, so
Coming back home to the mother. And that's and you can do that too. You don't physically have to. You can imagine yourself doing that. So if you're at your desk and you're in the 30th floor of a building, you can literally visualize that, because we all have that power, even though we don't think we do, but we do. I've been practicing that for years, in the winter time, because if there's snow on the ground, you're not going to go out and get frostbite because you're like, I have to touch the ground. You can still connect, without actually doing it. It's a lot easier when you actually put your feet on the ground, but
yeah.
Just another.
Tell us more about how you do, like you're inside, you're at a desk, you're on the 30th floor, it's degrees below
I'd
zero.
love to.
Can you tell us a little bit about that before we take a quick break? Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. So, you could take your shoes off still. That feels good. Taking your shoes off, or even if you don't, you're sitting there, feet on the floor, and just close down your eyes and just take a few breaths, just connecting, coming back in to your body. We're so in our minds. And so it's an opportunity to come back into your body first. And then what I like to do is just set the intention that I'm going to connect with her. And by doing that, it's like you're saying like, hey, I could use a little help here. And so making that that intention, setting that intention, and then saying to yourself, noticing the bottom of your feet. Notice them. Okay, I notice my feet. Great. And so now it's like you can, whatever resonates, it can be threads, it can be a cord. I like to say roots because I'm an earth sign through and through. So I actually imagine like roots from the bottom of my feet going all the way down. And I don't worry about the details of like, there's 29 floors between me and the bottom, the ground. You literally you're there. Visualize yourself there, your feet on the ground, even though they're not physically there, and then just make that connection. And depending on how you feel, it can take a little longer if you've spent a lot of time not connecting. And so just giving yourself patience and time. Maybe you try it 3 or 4 times and you don't feel anything, but then maybe on that 5th time you do, and it's magic.
Wow, I love that. Well, I want to continue talking about this. We're going to take a very quick break, and we will be back with Dr. Pat and Tonia Johnson. Hey, welcome back to the High Vibe Show with me, Elisa V, and Dr. Pat Baccili and Tonia Johnson. So, we've been talking about environmental wellness, connecting with Mother Earth, some techniques that we could do if we can't actually physically connect, where we use intention and visualization for all of that. And it's funny, Dr. Pat, you were talking earlier about the New York Liberty and how
Yeah,
the owner had the foresight and vision to kind
yeah.
of move to a different. It's funny in the if you guys have read Atomic Habits, one of the things that he speaks about in the book is that sometimes our environment can either help or hinder habits depending on what we're trying
Mhm.
to do. That if, we do things in a certain room or a certain environment, it can actually help us to change our habits or, to keep us stuck in habits. And,
Mhm.
I'm curious to just open it up for discussion, what happens to us when we do that? Like, what is it about the different environments, whether it's outside, under a tree, in the sand,
Mhm.
walking on sod? What is it that causes those reactions in us?
Well, I'll just I'll speak from like a just like an energetic level because
Yeah.
that obviously is all connected too. But usually if something doesn't feel quite right, so if you're in a room, I don't know, I'm constantly changing like where I sit and how I sit when I do these shows because I still haven't landed. It doesn't feel so I'm not forcing myself, right? And because for me, it's an energy. The energy is not quite right. So, whether it's there's not enough airflow coming in, there's not enough sunlight coming in. It's being, but there's that opportunity to notice within you there's something not quite right and not forcing it. So it's like, you know, that's okay. Not staying in the same rhythm if the rhythm is low vibe, which aligns with what you were saying, Dr. Pat, with that team, because it is like, it's the environment. And two, it was the owner saying like, hey, I believe in these people. I believe in what
Yeah.
we're doing. And we don't have to keep doing the same thing that we've always been doing or you've always been doing. Let's try something different. And then to see that result. And so for me, like I see that as like there's always an opportunity to improve our own condition. And first we just have to say like, hey, let's try. It can be small. It doesn't need to be big.
My mom lived in Miami, lived in southern Miami during Hurricane Andrew. And for those of you that don't know Andrew to me was the worst ever. And it leveled everything except my brother's house. But I asked my mom about that. Did she want to move away? And of course, it's a longer story, but here's what she said to me. I said, Mom, what do you make of this? And she had passed shortly thereafter. She said, it's just Mother Earth crying.
Mhm.
And she said it
Wow.
in a real Southern drawl, like, honey, that's just Mama Earth crying. We have to
Mm.
wipe her tears.
What a beautiful way of looking at, these things that
Mhm.
we've come to view as negative. I mean, of course, there is devastation, so we care
Oh
about
yeah, she lost everything.
humanity. Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
true. It's alive. Talking about this whole environment thing, one of the things that hits me is could it be that people that go to the same job sit in the same desk in the same routines, they have their coffee the same time, the same place? Could this also be like technique wise for people who may feel stuck to think about,
Mm.
maybe I have to change things up a little bit because
Mhm.
that energy gets stagnant, right?
Within us, internally and externally,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I always get
Absolutely.
asked if that plant is real. Every time I do a show, I always get asked about my plants. You can't even see my rubber tree plant. It's now starting to like come over here now. And it just leans. It will not lean towards me. I mean, it's gigantic.
Mm.
It's like that tall, but it leans. And I always get asked, are these fake? And I say, no, they're not. And And I've pondered what this is, and here's my answer. And I think it's like my mom. And Tonia, I want to ask you, they hear us, they hear me talk in this environment, in this position on my shows. And I'm not saying that talking will get everything done that we need to get done, but it's a shift in a perspective. And I wanted to ask you, it doesn't take much to try something different. What could we say to people listening today to try something different? Even if you don't want to go outside and do barefoot stuff, what could you do different to connect with the earth?
Get a plant. Put a plant in your space, and then literally
forest in here.
Yeah, I mean, it's creating a connection, how it works with you. And it has to, that's the thing with creating the environment. It is not trying to recreate what you are doing, like what anybody else is doing. It's what feels good to us individually. And so you can try a plant. Plants are beautiful, right? Because they require so little and they give you so much in return if you see it that way. I mean, look at how beautiful that plant is, you know? And so it's like, I agree with you. You're creating a vibration, and that vibration is feeding that plant. And in return, it is showing you with love. It's an energetic exchange. It's showing you love by green, like luscious foliage, beautiful. And it's also saying like, thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for bringing this love, this high vibe energy into the world, without really asking for anything in return.
Yeah. So true. I saw this video where they had hooked up these sound, these sound things, I don't know what they were, to the plant when they watered them, and they literally make noise. They literally like exude a sound, I guess, of pleasure or enjoyment, or it's just we don't take enough time, I think, in our environment, you know, and that's why this episode was so important.
Yeah.
And we're actually coming down to the end, but I want you to tell everyone, Tonia, how, you know, when they can tune into your podcast and how they can get in touch with you for that matter.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so the show Alchemy of Me is on Wednesdays, the first and third Wednesday. What time is it? I'm trying to think of. I think it's 9 Pacific. Nope, that's not right. 9 Mountain Time. So 8 Pacific, 10 Central, 11 Eastern. And yeah, just happy to be here. And I would just say too, you know, wildminnow.com is my company that it's really bringing all of this to light. And it's an opportunity to do this in the workplace, at the individual level, and for families. It's like bringing nature back into life. And in January, we're actually offering free membership to literally everybody, because we want this to be out there. And so, yeah, if this resonates, any of this resonates, just look us up on wildminnow.com.
Absolutely. Yes, please, everybody visit, because Tonia has so many, and definitely tune into her show, the first and you said the first and third Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you, Dr. Pat, as always. Thank you, Tonia, for being here. And I want to thank you for tuning in today. You know, you can always vibe high and thrive high by raising your vibration, living in that energy of love and abundance and gratitude. And for more, if you're interested in any one-on-one support on learning how to tap into how to bring your vibration up higher, please reach out to me at hittingtherestartbutton.com. And I wish everybody a beautiful day today. You've been listening to The High Vibe Show, living the high vibe life. I'm your host, Elisa V, the Queen of High Vibe. Join us every first and third Monday of the month at 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio. This is the place to come for you to have loads of fun, frequency upgrades now, and have great guests to hear all about raising your frequency. For more information, visit hittingtherestartbutton.com. See you next time.